Welcome back to another episode of Quick Chemistry. This is elements, molecules, compounds, and mixtures. To start us off, let's first talk about the structure of atoms. Atoms are made up of three subatomic particles: protons and neutrons, which come together to form the nucleus, and electrons, which surround the nucleus in electron clouds. Protons and neutrons have about the same mass, while electrons are about 1/1800th the mass of a proton or neutron. We can combine these subatomic particles in many different ways to form what are called atoms, which can be thought of as the smallest units of matter. What's important to recognize is that all atoms of the same kind of element have the same number of protons in their nucleus. So, for example, all atoms with one proton are atoms of the element hydrogen, all atoms with 3 protons are lithium atoms, and all atoms with 6 protons are atoms of the element carbon. Atoms of the same element can have different numbers of neutrons to form isotopes and therefore have different molecular weights. These concepts are something we'll cover in another video. One last thing to note before we move on to talking about molecules, compounds, and mixtures is that we organize our elements in what's called the periodic table. Each kind of element is given its own symbol, which is usually either a single capital letter, such as for hydrogen, or one capital letter followed by a lowercase letter, such as for helium. These symbols are internationally recognized by all chemists, so there's no need to translate these symbols between different languages. We're now going to look at molecules and compounds and distinguish them from mixtures. Molecules form when atoms bond with one another in fixed proportions. The bonding atoms can be of the same element, such as in H2 or O2, which are hydrogen and oxygen respectively, or they can be of different elements, such as HCl, hydrochloric acid, or H2O, water. When molecules are made up of more than one element, we get what's called a compound. Since compounds are made up of many different kinds of elements, they often have different properties when compared to the elements that they're made up of. One last question you may have is what happens when we have many different kinds of atoms or molecules in one place, but when they're not bonded together. In such a case, we have what's called a mixture. Air is a great example of a mixture since it contains many different gases, such as nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide, amongst many others, which are scattered amongst one another, but which have not bonded or are not chemically combined. And that's all for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment down below if there's anything more you'd like me to cover. Until next time.